Stand for the pledge, and then a moment of silence for our armed forces serving throughout the world. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, up first tonight, the town board has some, could quiet please? The town board has some business they need to take care of before we get started. So Frank, I'm going to turn it over to you. It's the on-off button.
The bottom.
You also have to point it toward yourself. It's on.
Okay. We need to pass two resolutions tonight. One is the governing body of fair housing resolution. These all are connected to our what they call community grants. They're new forms that need to be put out and that need to be passed. So I don't know if do you want to read the whole thing or just? It's basically a community, it's the governing of fair body fair housing resolution, and it deals with, once I put my glasses on, human rights, and that we, the town will, New York State human rights, the policy to implement programs to ensure equal equality, opportunity in housing for all persons regardless of race, color, religion, ancestry, sex, including pregnancy, national origin, nationality, familial status, marital or domestic partnership status, affectional sexual orientation, atypical hereditary, cellular, and blood trait, genetic information, liability for military services, mental or physical disabilities, perceived disabilities. And it goes on and on. So I need a motion and a second to pass this resolution.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And our second resolution deals with the actual application for an ADA ramp and an ADA door as described in the proposal for the Historical Society. Thank you. So I need a motion and a second for that.
Motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That's it.
You done?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, we'll pick up where we left off the last meeting. I'll just start it off this time. Last meeting we met, the town board had a statement that was read by Councilwoman Jackie Hernandez, and there was several issues that were brought up, so I'm going to touch base on all those issues. And at the March 25th Village Town Joint Meeting, it was determined that the town had 4 issues of contention. The boundary line between the senior center and the highway facility access road, final bond payment made on the highway facility. The town feels that there wasn't equal value in the land swap and Harriman restitution. So I'm going to respond to the village's position on all 4 of these issues of contention, and then we could discuss it, but I'll just go through the 4 issues and what our response is going to be. Based on a on-site meeting with Mike Essick, Tim Arone, Jesus Gomez, and myself, the town would like to change the boundary line between the senior center and the highway department. The current boundary line between the senior center and the highway facility is the fence on the west side of the senior center. The town would like the boundary to be the curb, which would add approximately 3 feet to the western boundary of the senior center. The curb would then be the new boundary between the senior center and the highway department's access road to County Route 105. The village can and will agree to this if the town pays for any cost associated with the lot line change. Second, the final bond payment made on the highway department land. The town states that they made a final bond payment on the highway facility in the amount of $62,000. This final payment was made after title transferred to the village. The town's position is that the village should be responsible for this payment. The village agrees and will reimburse the town once the litigation is ended. The village will reimburse the town in the amount of $62,000 minus legal costs associated with the action brought by the town. 3, the town feels that the land transfer between the town highway department and the village, the res, was not equitable. First thing I would like to stress is that the cost is a relevant factor because all the land is owned by the taxpayers and only control has changed. The assessed value of the highway garage is $815,900. The assessed value of the village-owned Earl Reservoir is $370,170. Difference of the two is $445,730. These assessments are from the 1986 revaluation. The res property was severely undervalued in its assessment. I also believe that the 123 acres of land that the town received has tremendous value and would be priceless in the hands of a private developer. A few things I should note about the land that the town received, which most people in Woodbury refer to as the res. The 123 acres includes the water or the lake, whichever you prefer, the pavilion. You done? Okay. The pavilion, the beach, the parking lot, the dog park, the animal shelter, the ball field, the road to enter the park, and let's not forget the bocce courts. I think it is more than a fair land swap, and the town got the better end of the deal. The highway facility should have come over to the village when the highway department came over. I don't think it's prudent to waste any more taxpayers' money by paying for an evaluation. The town has the parks, the village has the highway department, and the land swap makes logical and good business sense. Harriman restitution. The village of Harriman currently allows, the village of Woodbury currently allows the village of Harriman to store their salt in our salt shed. The village Woodbury man hours and equipment are used to load the salt onto the village of Harriman trucks. This arrangement is likely to continue into the unforeseeable future or until Harriman can build a salt shed in a place that won't impact their water supply. This arrangement cost the village of Harriman taxpayers $0. I'm not sure why the town of Woodbury collected highway taxes from the village of Harriman, since the village of Harriman had their own independent highway department. However, since the town that collected the taxes from the village of Harriman, I believe it's the town that should reimburse the village of Harriman if they choose to do so. So I brought up the 4 issues of contention, and I just gave you our response to them. So now it's kind of open to discussion, or if you want to just feel that we're at a place now where you could just withdraw the lawsuit and we can carry on and not waste any more taxpayers' money on this lawsuit that really doesn't make much sense. It doesn't make much sense to the people out there paying the taxes, and I feel I responded to all the issues of contention. So I defer to whoever wants to speak.
There you go. Well, to begin with, it would have been nice to get a copy of what the village's ideas were on this so that the town could have sat at some point and discussed it.
Well, when you had a statement at the last meeting, we didn't get a copy of that either, so I'm just going by the rules that I'm adapting to as we go along. We never got a copy of the statement that was read to us at the last meeting.
We didn't either. To be honest with you, Jackie wrote it up and Jackie presented it. I think
Well, none of my board members received a copy of this either, so Jackie and I are even.
All right, so let's move on.
Is this? Yeah, okay. I would recommend, considering that the village took time to review the items that the town was concerned about, I would recommend that the village give us the opportunity to review and discuss the items that was presented to the town board so that we can discuss that, and then we could move forward with resolving whatever issues are remaining. That would be my recommendation as far as that. As far as the litigation, again, I just want to reiterate, the board requested the meeting with the village, so I really don't want to hash out about, the costs, because again, on both sides, there are very strong opinions with regards to why the lawsuit was initiated by the town board. We're at the point now where we would like to resolve the remaining issues. And so I would put forth a recommendation. I think I've taken notes in regards to, and I know Desiree has, in regards to what the village is proposing. And at this point, I would present it to the board members in regards to if we feel that this is something that we can respond right now. I would recommend discussion before we make a final decision.
do you want to go into like caucus?
Board members?
All right, give us a few minutes.
Okay. No, we can't. There's too much stuff out there, checks and everything. Want to go in the kitchen?
Kitchen? And while you're in there, you can make us a meal. Paella.
Yeah, I do.
No. Go with the paella. You did bring me food, yes. That was pretty precise. Is your mic off? Is your mic off? Just in case. Should we caucus? Should we caucus also? I know, but that's not how we get the whole point.
we would like to thank everyone for your patience as we discuss very quickly the items that were presented by the village. So on behalf of the town board, I am reading our response, and I am numbering it based on the way it was presented by Mayor Queenan. On the first item, which is in regard to the boundary line, the town board has agreed to pay for, if there's a need to pay to correct the boundary line, the town board has agreed to pay for that. On item number 2, with regards to the repayment of the last payment for the property that the town paid, the town board is requesting from the village board a breakdown on paper as to the legal fees before we make a final decision on that. On item number 3, with regards to the valuation of the park and the highway department, the valuation that was used was from 1986, and we believe the property value may be significantly different. And so the town board is proposing that we pay for the valuation, and we would like to, considering that we did recommend someone who could do the valuation and that was not done, so we will pay for that so that we can get an accurate valuation of the property for 2019,
For what year?
the most current. And the final item, in regards to the Harriman and taxes that were paid, that included money that was used towards paying for the highway department that is no longer under the town. The town supervisor met with Mayor Welly and informed him of the most recent meeting that we had with the village, and he has requested to meet with the town board. We have the option of him coming to the meeting, the village meeting and town board meeting, and he can speak, or we can meet with the town, as a town board with him to assess the discussion a little more from that perspective, with regards to what the village is stating as far as the town paying for whatever difference that is versus the property, the taxes that were used from Harriman to pay for the property, the highway department. So it's just a discussion, and he has requested that, and so we would like to propose that as far as if the village would like to be included in that initial meeting, we can do that, or we can meet with him initially to have that discussion and then bring that forth at the village meeting.
As far as breakdown of the legal fees, once the litigation is ended, we'd be more than happy to give you a breakdown of our legal fees, not a problem. Matter of fact, anybody could foil them if they want, but not a problem. As far as the reevaluation, obviously I can't stop you from doing it if you want to do it. I really think it's a waste of money because I really think it's irrelevant, because what we could do, I mean, we could switch the land back. I could take the highway department, put the highway department up at the res, and you guys won't be allowed to use it. I mean, is that where we're going here? I mean, I'm trying to understand. We have a highway department. We have land that was swapped with the town that's like park-like land. It makes total sense. And you're going to do a reevaluation costing the taxpayers more money for something that most likely won't settle anything. But like I said, I can't stop you from doing it. As far as speaking to Welly, I mean, if any village board members want to go and speak with him, that's great. I'm not going to go, and I'll tell you why, because I feel it's not our problem. I believe it's the town's problem. The town collected taxes all these years, and for the life of me, I don't even understand why the town wants to go down that wormhole, but so be it. Are you going to do the same thing with Town Hall? Now the Town Hall is being used as a court just for technically the village of Woodbury? Because you're not using it for the village of Harriman anymore, except for the Parks Department. So the other part of the building is only going to be used for the village of Woodbury, really, because that's the only place tickets are issued. So the village of Harriman has their own highway department, and they have their own court. Okay, so if you're going to follow that logic for the highway department, you should follow that logic for the town hall. So in reality, we don't need to be there because that's really an issue that the town has to settle with the village of Harriman.
So you're declining to meet with Mayor Welly when we meet with him?
I am, yes, personally.
Are there any other board members that would be interested from the village?
I'm going to say no.
Same here.
Okay. Okay, so we are informing the public, we will be setting up a meeting with Mayor Welly, and we will set up another meeting for the village in town. Okay. Okay. Okay, so at this point, we would like to...
Excuse me, before we get to that, one of the things you brought up, Jackie, was how much we've paid for our legal fees. At the last meeting, our first meeting between both boards on this issue, we had said what it is we believed we spent at the time, and right now it's somewhere in the neighborhood of $26,000. And we had asked you guys what you guys had spent so that the public knew. You said you didn't know, but that you would look into that and get back to us at the next meeting. So do you have any answer on that?
No, not yet. No.
Can I just ask how come? How hard could it be to get a breakdown from your legal team? The expenses. Wait, let me finish. Because it doesn't sound like you promised after the last meeting. And I know people who were residents were at the town hall meeting. This shouldn't be that difficult in this day and age.
I'll get it for you. It's not a problem.
But why don't you have it now? Why hasn't anybody of the other board members asked, what have we spent on legal fees on this?
Why don't you
because it's
already
not,
know?
Exactly. How do you not know already?
So-
I understand it's not coming out of your pockets per se, but it is coming out of the residents' pockets, and you should have had that information at the
Andrew,
last meeting.
in correction, we are all residents, so please, let's
Okay.
refrain from that. But let me just say this. Okay, we are very much aware of the ballpark figure of around what we've paid. But because
Which
we are
is?
still receiving bills from the past 2 months, we cannot give an accurate figure. So yes, we can absolutely get that number. But
Is
the-
it 100 grand?
But again, what we're looking to do right now is to resolve the situation that's before us.
Okay. See,
So-
this is where I disagree, because what I think you're doing is just trying to change the narrative here. Why give our legal fees and let the residents of Woodbury know how much we've actually spent on this? We don't want to give them that information. You should be giving them that information, because that's exactly what I've been saying all along and what we've been saying. This is a waste of taxpayer dollar.
You don't want to know
dollars.
something?
Tell me, please.
We are spending money to fix what should have been done right the first time. If you read the lawsuit, which
I
I
have.
presume you have,
Yes.
you will see that there were many errors done. So we need to spend money to fix it, don't we?
Well,
Okay.
Bob, can I just step in there? What you said about reading the lawsuit, that's your version of what transpired. That's what it is, Bob.
That's right.
That's your version of what transpired, okay? So don't say that's the true narrative of what actually happened. That's just your version.
Well, we
So
do know.
we're in court now, and we're going to let a judge decide it,
Okay,
obviously.
But we do know that that David never went to see an attorney, which was required to
No,
be done.
Frank, you don't know that.
We do.
No, your attorney's telling you that, but you don't know that,
No.
okay? That's
No.
for the court. The court's going to
Okay.
decide that.
Not a problem. Not a
So
problem.
again, like, that's your version of it, just like the court papers are your version of what happened. So I mean, to say, did you read the court papers? That's being disingenuous. I mean, seriously.
Well, I think all of this is being disingenuous. I mean, you gave me a number that's 22,000. I mean, you know, for all I know, it's like we just asked you, give us a copy of what you've spent so far, and you want to wait till the very end when you can give us something up to now. Okay.
Frank, you could foil it
I
tomorrow
understood.
if you want. You could foil it. Anybody in this audience could come into Village Hall and foil that tomorrow. We're not hiding anything.
just updated, you think about 26 now. So I'm only assuming that you guys have spent at least that, if not more. And I'm sure if you came, you can find out the exact amount, and it won't be redacted. It'll be, can you hear me, Maria? No. Oh,
Your mic's not on, Tom.
we didn't spend enough on the mics, thank you.
The instructions are bad, that's what it was.
To repeat myself, so basically I asked, our lawyer is sitting right there, how much have we spent so far? He said approximately 22. Tim updated us tonight, approximately 26. So what we're asking for is an approximate. You can, and the mayor has said that you can come, we can find out, it won't be redacted, so everything will be in there, you can see it, no problem, if you ask the right way. But although we're giving you a ballpark right now. So we're trying to be open, and that's what we said we'd all be right from the very beginning, period.
But that's not.
Fair enough. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate it.
It's Tom. I know they're confusing, they look so much alike.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tom. I only golf with you, but that's okay. The town board would like to just meet again in whenever we're going to get back together. We hope to resolve this. You see it from your point of view, and we see it from our point of view. Obviously, they're not the same, and we need to get something done on this. But,
Well,
you know,
let's just rehash. So we know what kind of agreement on item number 1?
correct.
And the town will pay for any cost associated with that. Hopefully it is not. You're agreeing on number 2 as long as you see a breakdown of the bill?
Well, we'd like to see the breakdown.
Well, by all means, no problem at all. So 1 and 2, we could almost say, done, as long as we meet. I mean, we're going to move the goalpost here, or is that kind of where we're going to go?
We're all nodding.
Okay. As far as the evaluation, we don't agree with it, and I can't speak for my whole board, but I don't agree with it because I think it's a waste of money. Okay. I don't think it means a beans. I personally think the reevaluation is when they take into consideration all the building that the town did on that property and development of that property, that technically, legally, they probably had no right to do. But we won't. That's not even going to be an issue because
I don't even know what you're talking about right now. That was illegal.
Well, you need when you lease land or whatever the reason is, and you develop it, you really need permission from the owner of the land. That's
And what land is that you're talking about?
Where your pavilion is, that belongs
Okay.
to the village of Woodbury. Where your beach is, that belongs to the village of Woodbury.
Okay.
Your parking lot, okay, your bocce court, your ball field, your animal shelter, your dog park, all belonged on land belonging to the village of Woodbury. But you think this land has no value. I disagree. And I really think you should probably come around on that because I think it's really a stupid issue. But that's your decision. I'm not going to control that. And as far as the Village of Harriman, I totally disagree. I feel if there's any restitution on the Village of Harriman, that should come from the town. And that's why I shouldn't even be involved in a meeting, and the town board should meet with Welly to discuss that. So
Okay.
that's our position.
Okay.
So-
My basic position, and I won't talk for the board, is that when you receive about $3 million worth of land, which is what our last estimate was from Laura Breslin, who I happen to hold in the high esteem of her knowledge, and she tells me that the land that you gave us, which we cannot build on, as you said, maybe it can go to a developer or something. It cannot go to a developer. It's parklands, and you cannot.
Well, it's not parklands.
Well, that's your opinion.
Well, we did research on it, and nowhere was it ever dedicated as parklands. Okay? Your attorney wants to run around calling it parklands. There's nothing we could do about that.
If I'm not
But
mistaken,
if you want-
the last supervisor kept throwing at us that it was parklands, and now it's not parklands.
Well, wait a minute. Before, what the last supervisor said, you said he did everything wrong, and now all of a sudden you want to base your whole case on something he said. Doesn't make sense to me.
We're not basing it on what he said,
But
go ahead.
well, let me finish. It's not parklands. Parklands has to be designated as parklands. Nowhere has it ever been designated as parklands. It may look like a park. You might have built some park facilities on it, but you weren't the owner of the land. Actually, it was the water department that was the owner of the land. Okay? So what I'm saying here is, I gave you the assessed values of the land, not the market values.
Yeah, they're not market values, they're just
Assessed values. So, in retrospect, even if we just go by those assessed values, the highway department is basically assessed at twice the amount of the 123 acres. I totally disagree with that assessment, okay? And actually, I'm wondering, did the person who did the assessment or the reval have any idea what they were evaluating?
I think she did.
No, that wasn't Laura Breslin that did that.
Yeah, it was.
No, it
Go ahead.
was. It was done in 1986, Frank.
No, not, yeah, the one you read was from 1986.
That was the reval.
Okay.
Well, that's the assessed
But
value.
values go up, values go up over years.
Yeah, but
I'd like
these-
to buy my house at what it was assessed at in value.
I understand.
At in 1986.
But the assessed value hasn't gone up, okay?
Wasn't that property donated by the Cornells?
I believe it was.
Many years ago for park purposes, right?
No. It was owned by the water department, Bob.
Some of the park up there, though?
It was owned by the water department.
I guess we'd have to get the deed to see.
Well, we looked at the deeds. It was owned by the water department. So, anyway, so you're going to go look into your reevaluation, and you're going to go speak to Steve Welly, and you're going to get back to us.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay?
Okay?
Sounds
Do we
like-
need a motion to adjourn?
Yes, we do.
1 minute, wait, 1 minute. Before we do that, I know it's a tedious task, but I'd like to get a date so that the public can hear when the next meeting is going to be held.
We've got a lot going on. A lot of people are away in May.
Okay.
So
we wanna look at the beginning of
we'll send the village dates, because right now, a lot of us are away throughout the month of May. So when we get back, we'll look at some dates in June, and we'll send it off to you.
Well, when are you meeting with Welly?
I'm not sure yet.
Oh.
We haven't set up a date yet with Wally, but I've met with him privately, personally, and I would like the board to talk with him also.
Well, could
We'll
you?
probably do it at a board meeting.
Well, would it be appropriate to ask to enlighten us on what he said?
Actually, he thanked me for sticking up for the people who live in Harriman, which is the land that's in Woodbury is over half, or at least half of their tax base, and he's thanked me for it, and he said to thank the board for it. So
Well, it's funny, I had a conversation with him, and he wasn't that interested in it, but, maybe you changed his mind. Okay, so you meet with him and get back to us, but like I said, it's a non-issue to us because we didn't collect any taxes from the village of Harriman, okay? You did, or the town of Woodbury did, so,
okay,
all right?
thank you.
So I would just recommend at this point, because it will take us some time to get the properties evaluated anyway.
Well, we'll do it during the month of May. I'll have it done.
Right, so, and then the meeting with Mayor Welly. So I would recommend.
Well, could I just say one thing there? What you really should do, if you want to do this right, we should be able to agree on the person that you hire to do this.
Well, I've sent you 2 names already, but you never got back to me.
Well, no,
the
you
two-
sent me 2 names, but maybe we could come up with some names too.
Go right ahead.
All right,
Not a problem.
okay.
Okay, so, like I said, for the month of May, we would need to do do the tasks that we're proposing as a town. So I am recommending the next meeting to be in June. So I would say that we would get by the end of by the end of April, we should get a date to the village. By the end of this month, we'll get a date for you so that the village board can see when they're available, and then we would have that available for Desiree so that that information could be made public to the residents so that they could all. So we're looking at the next meeting sometime in June, and the board will have a date by the end of April to the village so that we can make that data available to the public for the next meeting.
Yeah, well,
Actually, we got a meeting on May 2nd, so we'll all come up with a date by May 2nd, and then I'll send it out.
Okay.
Okay, are we going to continue the stay on the lawsuit?
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
60 days from tonight?
No, we can apply for another one, but we do have a 60-day stay.
Okay,
You
well,
know, I understand.
should we
I'll-
agree on an extension of another 60 days?
Well, if the judge will give it to us, sure.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
Okay. Are there any other comments from any of the village board members? No? Okay. Any comments from the town board members? Okay. I'd like to make a motion to close the meeting.
No.
And let them second it.
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to close the meeting?
I'll make that motion.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you and good night.